So government should provide primary care. Government should provide emergency care, whichever. It can be given by a private healthcare facility, but it should be government owned.
Right.
When you meet with an accident, you may not be falling in front of a government hospital, maybe in front of a private hospital. That person should give care offered by the government, free care, and maybe reimbursed from the government. That's a different matter. So emergencies and primary care should be available widely, government owned, free of cost, so that diseases may not progress also further. And there should be quality check. The quality of care, which is very good in US. In many other countries, the range will be very vast. You may get to meet a doctor. You think that he is a doctor. After a few days, you find out that he doesn't have any degree at all. He's a self-proclaimed doctor.
Wow.
Or he was a pharmacist in a hospital. Next day, he opens a clinic. After a few years, maybe he's picked by police. But that may not happen at all. Or he'll say that I am a traditional healer's son, so I am also a traditional healer. And he will prescribe modern medicines, which he doesn't know what it is. He has never learned, but he knows that this you can control fever, or this you can fever, cough, control cough or infection. He doesn't know anything. He will maybe looking at the color of the tablet and giving it to them. I've seen this.
Wow.
It happens. It happens even in a city like Mumbai.
Wow.
More than 50% of the doctors, so-called doctors in Mumbai city, are not qualified doctors. They are not qualified to prescribe, but they left hand, right hand, and they use both hands to write prescriptions. And you can buy any. You don't need any doctor. If you can remember the name of a medicine, you can go and buy over the counter most of the medicines in India, which is creating problems like multi-drug resistance. Drug resistance is a problem. Multi-drug resistance happens in tuberculosis. Yeah.
So do you think we should, given your, sorry, I have only 3 more questions. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I
hope I'm what I'm giving the right answer that you wanted.
You are. I think this is really great. And I think when I edit it together, I think people will really enjoy listening to this. It's really intriguing. I think, so it seems like there's a lot of push for pills, and we're eager to, prescribe people these things. And I know, India and Kerala is also focused on Ayurveda and spiritual healing and things like that. Should there be a mix of both, of traditional and non-traditional forms of practice? Like I know, I know like concepts like mindfulness are becoming more prevalent in the Western world right now, and that's
the issue is when they compete. See, traditional healing systems, they are always linked to the culture. You cannot pluck it away and throw it away, whether it is India or China or whichever country or African countries. So, for example, we apply coconut oil in Kerala before taking a bath. It's or some other oil. It's a common practice. People, when we were kids, we were told that no, don't take bath without applying coconut oil on your head, otherwise you get fever. So we know that doesn't happen, but you cannot convince a person in Kerala that you should not apply oil. So it's part of the. So there is a lot of and Chinese, they will have something else, or African country, they will have something else. So the medicine that evolved with the people, with culture, maybe who knows, some herbs or these kind of things will have medicinal value also. If you apply on your body, it doesn't harm you. If there is some good thing happening, let it be. But when you take inside, that you have to be careful. For example, I have seen a patient who was given enema by an Ayurveda doctor, and he used some herbs from here and there. And see, when you pluck plants, you cannot measure in milligram levels. You cannot decide the concentration. You cannot control the concentration. A plant living in one area will have more concentration than a plant living in another area. And when you make a paste out of it, maybe you might have, by accident, added some plants which can be irritating to the body. And I saw a perfectly healthy patient. He had a kind of, they call it comfort treatment, sugar jigils or something.
Yeah.
Even without disease, people get Ayurveda treatment every year, some people. And this guy had an anemia and he went into a big trouble. He was almost reached a state of surgery because blood started flowing from his rectum. And so it injured his what do you call, rectum and neighbor. It really created ulcers. So this is because, see, Ayurveda, some plants, identified plants have medicinal value. But if you don't apply it in a measured way, it can be counterproductive. That's what exactly modern medicine says. You take paracetamol 500 milligram, not just a, what do you call it, a, what do you call it, ball of or a spoon paracetamol, nothing like that.
Yeah.
Even when you give uh, kids paracetamol syrup in spoon, it is 125 milligram or 5 ml. These measurements are there. So that is what I'm trying to say is traditional medicines will be linked to traditional practices. See, I have seen neurosurgeons. They do the surgery because they had a patient had a head injury or stroke something. So they do the surgery and patient is all right in 10 days from the surgical point of view. Now what he has to do is he has to go back home and take physical exercise and physiotherapy, these kind of things. And then there will be an Ayurveda traditional doctor who is very good in massage. Neurosurgeon will not say that, no, don't do it, because that is closely linked to this culture. Oil massage is very common in Kerala. But the Ayurveda surgeon should not attempt to do the neurosurgery, which can kill the patient.
Mm-hmm.
So it is complementary. Your surgical part is done, send him to Ayurveda, which is culturally close to the patient's environment and thinking. Let him have it. You should not. So neurosurgeon should not stop Ayurveda massage. That's my point.
Right.
And Ayurveda doctor should not say that, why did you go to neurosurgeon for stroke? I could have managed it. No. If there is golden hour, if you quickly apply the medicine injection given to a patient who is developing stroke, you can reverse it.
Yeah.
Without becoming full blown. You don't have to stay in a hospital with one side paralyzed called hemiplegia for months. So this is a complement there. But people try to have unhealthy competition, try to blame each other. That's where the problem is. And so Ayurveda had some science, but it had not progressed. But it has relevance. For example, if you go to villages, you may see bullock carts, horse carts, because you don't need a Benz car in a small hilly village where few people live. You have to use that. So it has still relevance.
Yeah.
But can somebody say that, oh, we were traditionally traveling by horse. Let us go from Bombay to Washington by horse cart. We can't do it. Or you are taking a horse cart to the runway. If flight also has wheels, I also have wheels. Let me use it. Can't do it. You will mess up the whole thing. That's what I'm trying to say. So modern medicine, it doesn't mean that we put modern dresses and we speak English and we are modern doctors. Nothing. The science has evolved. It had gone through researches and it has become more precise. That's modern science. And that doesn't mean that. So when you do a surgery, you have to be careful about less than a millimeter size. Because if you cut more, the patient may lose something. But when you apply coconut oil on your hair or for massage, even if it is 1 gram extra, 1 liter extra, doesn't matter. That's what I'm trying to say.
I see. Yeah. So you need a balance of both, and it's about creating long-term wellness for an individual, and it depends on adapting.
Treatment should be scientific, but it should be adapted to cultural context.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it will fail. If I go and talk to a villager and use all English terms or medical terms, he will not accept my medicine because he doesn't know autism. At the same, that's why people even now, people who get snake bites, they go to village traditional healers and they die. You have antivenom in government hospitals or private hospitals. People still believe that snake bite can be dealt with by traditional healer. They go and die. This is a very sad situation in India even now. People don't know that. So that is where we fail. The health system fails to make the last person also informed about the facilities available in our system. That's why people go to. It's not because people don't want to die. They think that the traditional healer has all the medicines, including snake venom, anti-snake venom.
Yeah, and we want to see what do we want to see more of then? We want to see people. We want to see people use both concepts and, like you said, adapt, but also learn about the culture, and then also, get educated. And
No, we have to evolve. We have to evolve. I remember when we were young, if we have diarrhea, some family members say that, you give water, kid is passing watery stools. Don't give water. That can kill the child.
Yeah.
So we found out that even if the child is vomiting and passing loose stools, you should continue to give water. That hydrates the kid. So that's the science.
Yeah.
Older science may be having a different advice. So science has to evolve. So many practices that used to exist in the past, they don't exist now because we have understood. But at the same time, that's what I'm saying. So why should a person without any illness be given enema? You don't need any enema. But Ayurveda, still, they give enema to every patient, which is wrong. That's what I'm saying. So we have to, but now it is less, much less. People don't want to go to the, and you have some illness, people will not go and have an enema from Ayurveda. But they should move to their other physical therapies and other things which are useful. We should progress. Coexisting doesn't mean that, that's what I'm saying. Bullock cart or horse cart and jet planes cannot coexist in an airport or runway. Horse cart cannot go to the runway, and your jet plane cannot go to the remote village.
Yeah.
You get off the flight. When you go to Kerala, you get off the flight, you come out, and then you take a taxi. You cannot take the flight to your home. So that's another mode of this thing. And then you may reach a place where the car cannot travel. There's a river, you may use a boat, country boat. So all kinds of means are there. So it's not coexisting, it's actually complementarity. Where it is required, you have to use it.
Yeah. Well, Lal uncle, thank you so much.